$318 million. That's the number Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham expects recreational cannabis sales to reach by the end of the year after what she calls a successful opening weekend for legalization. If that estimate pans out, the state would receive millions in tax revenue, sending even more cash to local municipalities where shops are up and running. Now, let's welcome our line panel back for a look back at opening week. $5.2 million on opening weekend, almost 3.5 of that recreational use. Predictions of more than $300 million in the first 9 months. Is the governor, Sophie, the right to be celebrating these numbers? Is she on the right track here?
I can't predict exactly how sales will work, and my experience outside of the cannabis industry is that you often will get a bump on your opening weekend.
Right.
Woohoo! So it's not not able to do the full projections myself, but it does seem like it was a promising start, and I think it has been interesting. A lot of coverage about this has really focused on the border with Texas, which is the largest state that does not allow cannabis. Doesn't have legalization within the state, and here we have that nice border. I'm sure folks in Clovis are happy right now about those sales.
Serge, interesting. The word transparency comes up here with all this money coming in. Do we have enough transparency on how this money is either being received, how it's going to be spent? What's your gut telling you at this point?
Transparency is not something that comes to mind with this, right? We do know that it's bringing in a lot of money and probably raising folks' expectations for what we can expect. But I've not been clear on how it's being accounted for and how it's being distributed or what's going to happen. There's just, like Sophie said, woohoo, there's a lot of money. And I'm not going to complain about that. But I do think there's, this is barely a year since they passed, not even a year, right? Since this was passed, and we're very, very much at the beginning stages of seeing how this plays out. I'm optimistic, but I do think it's a little bit too soon to say, yes, this has solved lots of problems and we'll all be able to be happy and see how this goes out. Just in terms of, the licensing and seeing how it's been, micro growers rather, have been, making noise about being left out and having unfair or unreasonable obstacles raised, right? We're so very much in the infancy stage of this, and so much needs to be worked out. I feel that declaring that this is going to change. It's like a baseball team winning its first 2 games and saying we're on pace to go 162-0 or whatever.
Right.
Thank
you, Serge. I couldn't agree more. Justine, interestingly, I appreciate that Serge just brought up micro producers, because one of the lingering concerns for disadvantaged facing, these businesses aren't allowed to have more than 200 full-grown plants at a time. They aren't allowed to buy wholesale product to sell back to the public. What does this mean for smaller businesses trying to compete with big money operations that we know are putting the clamp down on right now?
Well, I think that remains to be seen. First, though, on the big picture, I am ready to declare victory. I think here the Democrats have hit on a renewable green resource. And with estimates like this, I think we found a way to pay for all the free college that nobody knew how to plug that hole. And then, hey, all these stoner college kids are going to have money jingling around in their pockets, and they can buy more weed. And I think the governor has unwittingly hit upon a self-sustaining economic model with a renewable resource. I don't know. Obviously, a lot remains to be seen.
Yeah.
And I think, Gene, you hit on, as far as the mechanics are concerned, exactly what the real issue will be as new producers get in the game and we see what will really work. And this has always been the issue with the marijuana program, whether it's medical marijuana or now recreational. How does the government engineer all this and still let the market work? I would say, given that we've been working on this for 23 years,
right,
since Mary Johnson came out, and
very good point,
and a whole bunch of legislators at that time were ready to go forward with it. we seem to be struggling with the same problems over and over again. And so I guess I'm not that optimistic that we are going to see a really robust market in place,
Right.
and see the kinds of returns that are predicted. But I hope that the market is allowed to operate.
You know, I appreciate that point. And Sophie, let me continue on. The market also includes others who are not quite so official, if you get my drift here. And I'm interested to see as the weeks go by if our market of New Mexico gets flooded with cheap, cannabis, illegal cannabis, not through our state stores, and what that does to pricing and demand and all that kind of a thing. It's going to be very interesting as the weeks go on here to see what's going to happen. But let me ask you this: with so much money headed to the state, so if was enough thought given to creating that same opportunity for Native tribes here? In your sense, are they getting in on the largesse at this point, like everybody else?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to note that the tribal properties fall under federal marijuana law.
Yep.
And so there is a real distinction there between what's possible on non-tribal lands and what's possible on tribal lands. And so, I mean, I think that is a real it's something that folks need to keep in mind. It's a real issue. The other thing I did want to bring up, and I think this will have impact both. It'll have impact on non-tribal, but also on tribal lands. Is the decriminalization element and the expungements that we're going to be seeing of past criminal records relating to marijuana possession. And so, I mean, I think that that's going to be a big relief as that rolls out and as those expungements happen. And I should say less of an issue because of tribal law issues, but certainly within the state, those expungements are going to be huge.
Yep. Hey, Serge, we got to get in law enforcement in this discussion. There's no doubt, there's concern out there. You're going to have people behind the wheel, even more addled, if I can use a word here, than before. And the other idea, of course, is that, officers are going through training, what to look for. How, they need to be a step ahead of this, don't they? This just can't happen in isolation without law enforcement being ready to do their thing.
I'm a little bit unsure about that because it is not like cannabis was not here in New Mexico before, right? And I wonder how much overlap there is between the group of people who were cautious enough to wait for it to be legal, but then are cool with driving while, after being under, while using cannabis, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
But that said, a fairly recent study I saw out of Colorado said that like 40% of the recreational users they asked thought cannabis didn't impair their driving at all, right? And so it is a problem. I don't want to, poo-poo it, right? That the more available it is, the more socially acceptable it is, the more people have experience with it, and start to say, oh, this isn't an issue.
Can I throw in that, legal marijuana is much stronger than a lot of street weed. I mean, if you can buy 2 ounces at a time, there's a lot of people out there who sit there and just try to pound weed, and you've got a problem suddenly.
Yeah, and and I think it is. I mean, the person who figures out a really solid, reliable test for this is gonna be in a good place. But I do think it is important to be aware and increase education about you actually don't drive better when you're high, and that and that you can. It's not just about alcohol, but also making sure that use is not impairment, just like with alcohol. There's a difference between going to the bar and having a glass of wine and pounding shots, right? And the same with with cannabis. And I don't envy this task, but it's important to try to make sure we get it right and focus on not just saying anybody who uses is therefore in the sights of law enforcement and whatnot,
right? Because
it's decriminalized for a reason.
That's right. Hey, Justine, we also had a situation, more than a dozen students needing medical attention after apparently accidentally eating some edibles. I mean, is it going to have to education for parents? What has to happen here to keep something like that from happening again?
I mean, I hate to be negative about it. I think we've done all the education you can imagine on alcohol use, and that hasn't done a whole lot with our alcohol problem in the state. I just think all the problems that you point to, these are issues that come out of governmental regulation. We have a partial decriminalization. We have the government interfering. I mean, you talked about street weed didn't do this to people. Right. And now we're in a situation where we do have really a very strong substance, and it's going to be highly available. I think it's got to settle out. I mean, it's a complicated problem where you've got the black market, you've got this new legal market, and everybody's trying to work it out. And, things like this are going to happen. And in a year or so, I think we'll be sitting here realizing that it's calmed down and it's not so new, and people will figure out how to manage it.
Justine, it's taxed pretty heavily, and there's more tax coming on it as the years go by. Is there a point of no return on price when it comes to legal cannabis, where it's just too much and the black market's just ready, waiting?
Absolutely, there is. You're going to have diminishing returns. I don't know exactly where that point is. I'm sure that studies out of Colorado have revealed that, and out of Washington and Oregon, and also as we see the proliferation around the country, where it's that's going to change the local markets where it just becomes so widely available. But yes, it's going to diminish, and so that's why I don't put a lot of stock in these estimates.
Yeah, interesting point there. Not everyone's going to go out and spend $200 every 2 weeks on this stuff. We're going to be keeping a close eye on all the developments surrounding legalization. Also, be sure to listen to the New Mexico PBS podcast, Growing Forward, made in collaboration with New Mexico Political Report and KUNM. Co-hosts Megan Kemrick and Andy Lyman explore the potentially wide-ranging impacts of legalization, including a criminal expungement recently mentioned, water rights, and the carbon footprint of indoor grow operations. You can find Growing Forward anywhere you get your podcasts. Now, we'll be back with The Line with one final discussion on evictions in just about 10 minutes.